All right, StableTalk, game number 5. We're trying to figure out what week it is because of the hurricane. We don't know. Kevin McCloskey, Billy Woodward, tonight's special guest, the birthday boy himself, Chris Rayner. Chris, I just want to say the Stallions did something that was virtually impossible. In the first half, they topped your age with 55 points.
Wow.
Did they do that just for you?
They did. They did. They said they were going to try and stop it right at 50, but they didn't have a three-point play.
All right, well, let's talk about the game tonight. I'm going to ask you, Billy, you've got some stats. Let's start with you. What are some of the key numbers that stand out in your mind tonight on this 55-9 win over the East Carteret Mariners?
Some of the first things, of course, the 83-yard kickoff return by Isaiah Anderson. You know, starting at his 15-yard line, took it down to the 2-yard line. 83 yards on the kickoff for him. Better than 200 yards plus for BJ in the first half on the running side, for the offensive side there. Defensively, so many tackles for losses tonight. Yeah. Now, granted, we are in the conference now, and it's one of the weakest conference, but they came out with intensity. I didn't expect them to be this intense the first game back after we've been off for so long.
Yeah. I agree completely. I was just talking to Coach Whitehead, especially the defense was intense. I think the guys, just having not played in a while, were ready to hit somebody, maybe take out some frustrations. Obviously, East Carteret suffering the same things that we did. Chris, your thoughts on the game? Any things that you can tell us, any backstories that you know? How did the team, doing all this chaos, get prepared to play the game tonight? And the stadium crew and stuff like that, a lot of stuff goes into getting this game ready. The bathrooms weren't open. What are some things that happened behind the scenes to get us on the field tonight?
Well, we got a really good paint crew, and they get everybody motivated out here.
They're over 50, that's why.
The first couple of practices last week, I heard, were not very good. They're basically just getting back in shape and getting their heads back into football. East Carteret had a game last Friday night. It's amazing that Carteret County schools were able to do that. They played Croatan, ended up winning 49-44.
So
they finished on Monday exactly because of lightning in the area.
They did.
So we saw them up there, and we just didn't see anything that we were overly worried about. I hate to say it that way, but the main thing we were worried about is how we'd show up as far as after the layoff.
Yeah.
And the kids, I think, responded well.
Yeah, who are some of the guys? I mean, I hate to do this when you ask you to single out guys because this was a team effort. Offense, defense, special teams all play well. Billy's already mentioned a couple of guys. Who in your mind sort of stood out tonight?
Well, if Isaac Anderson is not on small college and some D1 schools' radar, he needs to be. Yeah. I mean, tapes need to be sent places because he's just a monster. He has that motor that you like every kid to have, and he has the tools and the athleticism to go with it. Yeah. Ethan Barbie, extra points, was perfect on everything. I think we had one bad snap. And his kickoffs were very good. He had one he kind of missed a little bit, but that may have even been an intentional squib. I'm not sure. Yeah. He got to punt the ball, I think, one time, so he didn't have to. He didn't get to practice that a whole lot.
Right.
Dugan carrying the ball, ran very hard up the middle, as he always does. He's just a step away from breaking it every time. And BJ, I called him BJ Anderson a couple times on the PA. All our kids kind of run together. You got Derek Anderson, I call him sometimes, Derek Green. Yeah. Derek Green was big on defense, and, of course, Isaac on defense. Yeah. BJ Jordan, I think, according to Shauna, had 240 at halftime, and that's all he got because obviously you're not going to risk an injury second half.
Yeah. Another one that I want to add in there that's played and offensively and defensively, he had a score and a lot of one-on-one tackles. Antonio Simmons again. He is one of the shortest kids out there, but I can tell you there's not a player on the other side that after he hits the first player on that team, he goes back and tells them, you don't want 21 to hit you, and they're already looking at him then.
Yeah. And anybody out there that knows Antonio, please give him a link to this video because he asked me on tonight how we could get a link to these things and see these things. I didn't have the card with us, but anybody, it's swoathletics.com, or you can find it on the Southwest Onslow Facebook page.
For those of y'all that don't know who Antonio Simmons is, Chubbs. They'll find him. His brother is Punkin. I got Punkin on Facebook, so I'll get Punkin the link.
All right, now this is my first year and many long times covering Southwest Stallion football full time, so I know we're getting into this conference. Billy, you mentioned it is, you hate to say it, it is a weak conference. It is. The next several weeks, how do the coaches keep the kids? How do you treat these next several weeks? Or what do you work on? I mean, what do you do?
You still got to play them as if each game, take each night, because the team that comes out here, this is their playoff game against us every time that they play in this league. I've said it on the radio. If this is not the weakest 2A conference in the state of North Carolina, it is the weakest 2A conference east of I-95 for sure. So they've got to play, and they've got to keep, the coaches have to keep these kids' heads right, that what they're doing, they're not going to see this when they get to, if they're fortunate to get to the second or the third round of the playoffs, and then not more. The cream of the crop is going to come, continue to rise, but they can't take it. They got to keep the mental attitude is what they've got to do right now.
I agree completely. Chris, any parting shots on your birthday?
Well, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I want to thank everybody for supporting us. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. I want to t
Yeah, I hope many more. And also, you got to take them one game at a time. I know we have Lejeune coming up this week. They're down numbers-wise and stuff. They're a hard fighting team. They always will be. I think coaches, you'll see a lot of times work on things that you can't do late in the game because you may run the score up. They'll do those things early. Like you may see a little more passing early in the game, things like that. Then we have Dixon on a Tuesday night, I believe, and then get your stuff put on for Richlands.
That's right.
They're already in the town of Perfect Water talking about this is the year the streak's going to end.
That's
and
right.
we've heard that before, and I harken back to that one year, I think it was 2014, 13, where they had us 20-0 before the half, and we get a pick six that gets us a little bit back in it. They're still 20-7 late in the game. There's people calling on the phone for people to get down there. Yeah, at the end of the first half, there's people calling their friends, get down here, the streak is over. A friend of mine that worked at Gate, Robert Antoine, said more people came in after halftime than they did early.
Wow.
People coming in to see the streak. And we came back and won it with 2 touchdowns late in the game. But they want to beat us. They're going to be up for us. It's going to be at Richlands. We need to be ready for that game. We don't overlook the other two, obviously, but that's the next big game on the radar.
All right, well, we'll let you guys go. Congratulations to the Stallion Nation on a 55-9 win, and we will see you next week back here at the Corral to host Lejeune. Guys, take care.